Hello and welcome to Peak Performance Training Systems. I'm Bill Darrah, head coach at Peak. I just wanted to take a minute to say hello and thank you for signing up with your email and getting in our email list so we can send you information on training and racing methodologies. And just tell you also a little bit about me so you know in the future where this stuff is coming from. My background and maybe a little bit about my experience. I definitely think that you probably signed up because you want to get better, you want to get faster, and you want to maximize your potential and peak for races and events, and I certainly can help you with that. I've got over 30 years of knowledge in training and racing, and having been coached by some of the best coaches in the industry over the years. I've learned a lot, and I'd like to pass some of that information on to you. Now, one of the things that I want to do is I want to tell you a story about me and about some of the experiences that I've had, and I'll make it quick. But the first story is going to be about me as a young boy, and I learned from a friend of mine named Steve Drucker how to run. When I was a kid playing in the front yard with my dog, I used to see Steve Drucker running by my house. I lived on a corner, so he'd come ripping by. He was a low 30-minute 10K runner. This is back in the 70s, so I was a pretty accomplished runner, running 32-minute 10Ks, 31-minute 10Ks. And after a while, I'm 11 years old, I'm like, you know, I want to do what this guy's doing. So I strapped on my Converse shoes and I took off running after him, and I would run a quarter mile, and then the next day I'd run a little further and a little further and a little further. And eventually I got to the point where I could run a little bit with him. Now, of course, he was slowing way down for me, and he was, you know, sort of helping me along the way, helping me build my fitness. But Steve was a mentor for me. He was a coach for me, and he encouraged me. And on my 12th birthday, he took me to a 10-kilometer race that we did together, and I finished and got my first race T-shirt, and it was my first big accomplishment. And I was so excited, and you know, this set me apart and made me different than all the other kids, you know, in my neighborhood. But one of the great things about this story is about Steve mentoring me and coaching me. And that made a really big impact, influence on my life. The next story is about me and the Hawaii Ironman. Now, between when I met Steve and the first Ironman that I did in 1988 was about 8 years, 9 years. And around 20 years old, I got in the Hawaii Ironman, qualified there and to do the Ironman, and showed up there fit as a fiddle. Did the swim, got off the bike in the race, and I was in 37th place overall. And I was doing pretty well, and I thought, you know, this is pretty amazing. I'm doing really well. I got about 10-12 miles into the run, I completely bonked. I mean, it was like catastrophic failure. My body just shut down, and I was just shuffling. Of course, my parents were there, and you know, family and people had flown from the mainland to come see me compete in this event, and there was no way that I was going to stop. And that's kind of the Ironman methodology. I think you're just so tough, you can't even imagine stopping. But I got to the finish line. But in the time between I started shuffling and the finish, 330 people passed me, and I ended up in 365th place about. And it seemed like an endless stream of people, hundreds of people. Each person that passed me, it was like a knife in my back. And by the time I finished, I was so demoralized that I basically quit the sport. And the difference between those two stories that was when I was younger, I had a mentor and I had a coach. And in the second story of the Ironman, I had no mentor, I had no coach, I was on my own. And of course, Ironman and triathlon was very new, and there really weren't any coaches. There were very few, if there were any. I didn't know any at the time. There was only a couple of books. I had them all, read them all cover to cover. And this was in the years when Mark Allen was in his reign, starting his reign. And some of the wars between him and Dave Scott were going on. But there just weren't coaches, you know. And if you read those books about Mark Allen and Dave Scott, they didn't really have coaches. They were self-taught. They just went out and flogged themselves. And so by me having such a rough time in that marathon and not having anyone that was older, that had more experience and more perspective to say, hey, wait a minute, Bill, you're only 20 years old. You're going to grow and become a much better athlete and have much more endurance in your late 20s and even in your early 30s. Don't give up now. Just keep working on it. You're going to become a much better athlete than you are today. But because I didn't have anybody mentoring me and coaching me, I basically quit the sport and got sidetracked into other things for quite a while. I stuck with running and things, but I never really fully maximized my potential as an Ironman triathlete. I did end up doing 3 other races, Ironman races, but I never really raced to my potential that I think I could have in my in my early 30s had I stuck with it. So the moral of that is that coaching and mentoring, I realize now as I'm into my mid-40s, and I look back after having this many years of racing experience, that I can impart a lot of that to you. I can help you with some of the mistakes that I've made along the way and help you avoid those things to shorten that learning curve so you can go straight from where you are to maximizing your body and your mind's potential to race at the highest level possible. And I'm pretty sure that's why you're here, and that's pretty sure why you're watching this video. So I want to say thank you for signing up, and I'm looking forward to sending you tips on diet, on nutrition, on watt meters, on heart rate monitors, on stride mechanics, on stroke mechanics, on pedal cadence, on whatever it might be that interests you. And if you have a specific question, don't hesitate to send me an email, and I'll get right back to you with an answer. I look forward to hearing from you. Take care. Aloha.